Is your Anthurium developing brown leaves, not flowering, or just not looking as healthy as it should? Well, this happened to this one, and the good news is that plants like this can often recover. I actually have 3 healthy Anthuriums: white, red and burgundy, and they are all thriving and blooming constantly. But this one I got from a nursery 2 months ago to save it. It was struggling with brown damaged leaves and dried flowers, but the plant was still alive and had the potential to recover. So in this video I'll show you the 5 biggest mistakes people make with Anthurium and how to avoid them. Anthurium, also known as the Flamingo Flower, is one of the most popular tropical houseplants because of its glossy leaves and long-lasting blooms. But just like any plant, improper care can quickly lead to problems. So now let's go through the 5 biggest mistakes. Light is one of the most important factors for Anthurium health. When the light is wrong, the plant will quickly start showing problems. Many people think Anthuriums prefer low light because they are often labeled as low light plants. And while they can survive in lower light conditions, that doesn't mean that they will truly thrive. If your Anthurium is not getting enough light, the plant may stop producing flowers. The leaves may become smaller, growth slows down, and the plant may look weak or stretched. But too much light can be just as harmful. Direct sunlight can easily burn Anthurium leaves. The strong rays damage the leaf tissue, creating large brown patches and dry areas. And that's exactly what happened to this one. It was sitting in a very bright location with too much direct sun, so most of the leaves have these large brown damaged areas. Flamingo flowers naturally grow in tropical forests where they receive plenty of light, but they are protected by taller plants and trees. This means they prefer bright indirect light rather than harsh direct sun. So, what is the best location? A spot near a window where the plant receives plenty of natural light, but is protected from direct sunlight. For example, my healthy Anthuriums are placed in a bright area where they get good light, but the sun never hits the leaves directly. I keep them a few feet away from a west-facing window, and there are other plants in front of them that protect them from harsh rays. That's why they continue producing healthy leaves and beautiful flowers. This one I placed in front of a north-facing window, and it started producing new leaves shortly after. So if your Anthurium has burned leaves, weak growth or isn't flowering, the first thing to check is the light. Sometimes simply moving the plant to a better location can make a huge difference. Watering mistakes are another very common problem with these plants. Overwatering is the biggest risk. If the soil stays wet for too long, the roots can suffocate, leading to yellow leaves and root rot. But underwatering can also cause stress. When the soil becomes too dry, the plant may develop brown leaf edges and growth will slow down. So how do you water Anthurium correctly? Always check the soil first. Insert your finger about 2 to 3 inches into the soil. If it feels dry, it's time to water. And if it still feels moist, wait a few more days. Anthuriums prefer soil that stays slightly moist but never soggy. When I got this damaged one, it was also underwatered. So these damaged leaves and dried flowers are not only from direct sun. The soil was completely dry and the plant was clearly stressed. I gave it a deep shower, watering the soil thoroughly and rinsing the whole plant. After that, it slowly started recovering. Remember, watering is not about following a strict schedule. It's about checking what your plant actually needs. For example, these two Anthuriums are growing in very similar conditions, but they still have slightly different watering needs. One of them dries out faster than the other one. That's why it's important to observe each plant individually. Instead of watering on a fixed schedule, always check the soil and the condition of the plant. Let the plant tell you when it needs water. Anthuriums are famous for their beautiful, long-lasting flowers, but sometimes the plant starts having problems with blooming. Some of the most common issues include flowers that turning green, flowers drying too quickly, or the plant not producing flowers at all. If your plant is not producing flowers for a longer period, the most common reason is not enough light. When an Anthurium doesn't get enough bright light, it may stop producing flowers completely. The plant may still grow leaves, but flowering slows down or stops. If the light is not the issue, you should also check fertilization, but I'll talk more about fertilizer in the next section. Another situation people notice is when Anthurium flowers turn green. If the flower opens in its normal color and later slowly turns green, this is completely natural. As the flower ages, it starts producing more chlorophyll and gradually changes color. But sometimes the flower may appear green from the beginning. This can happen when the bloom is still very young or when the plant is adjusting to environmental changes such as temperature shifts or recent repotting. Sometimes the flowers may also dry out too quickly. This can be caused by stress, underwatering, very dry air, or sudden changes in temperature. Exactly what happened with this Anthurium. All the flowers are dry now. I left them on the plant so I could film them, but normally it's best to cut them once they dry. If your Anthurium is not flowering or the flowers are fading too quickly, try adjusting the light, watering, and overall environment. Small changes can often make a big difference. With proper care, Anthuriums can bloom almost all year. Another common mistake with Anthurium is over-fertilizing. As I mentioned earlier, the balance of nutrients is important. Fertilizers that contain too much nitrogen and not enough phosphorus can encourage leaf growth instead of flowers. In that case, the plant may produce many leaves but very few blooms. But using too much fertilizer can create another problem as well. When fertilizer is applied too often or in high concentrations, minerals begin to accumulate in the soil. Over time, this creates what is known as salt buildup. These salts can damage the roots and interfere with the plant's ability to absorb water properly. The symptoms often appear on the leaves. You may notice brown edges, dry spots, or leaves that look burned. The plant may also slow down its growth or produce fewer flowers. To avoid this problem, it's best to fertilize Anthurium slightly during the growing season. A balanced fertilizer used every few weeks during growing season is usually enough. Flamingo flowers are not heavy feeders, so they don't need large amounts of fertilizer. It's also a good idea to occasionally flash the soil with water. I usually do this by giving the whole plant a good shower. This helps wash excess minerals out through the drainage holes. More fertilizer doesn't mean a healthier plant. In many cases, it can actually do the opposite. The last common mistake with this plant is using the wrong soil or choosing the wrong pot size. Anthuriums are tropical plants that naturally grow in very airy environments. In nature, they often grow on tree trunks or in loose organic material where the roots receive plenty of air. Because of this, heavy and compact soil can cause problems. If the soil holds too much water and doesn't allow air to reach the roots may start to suffocate. This increases the risk of root rot and slows down the plant's growth. Pot size also plays an important role. Many people think that moving a plant to a much bigger pot will help it grow faster. But with Anthurium, this can actually cause problems. If the pot is too large, the soil may stay wet for too long, which can stress the roots and increase the risk of overwatering. And just as important, always make sure the pot has drainage holes. Without proper drainage, excess water cannot escape. Anthuriums actually prefer to be slightly root-bound, so it's best to increase the pot size gradually when repotting. For example, this Anthurium was growing in a smaller pot with extremely dry, compact soil. After bringing it home, I kept it for about 2 weeks and then repotted it into a slightly larger pot with a much airier mix. I used equal parts orchid bark, perlite and potting soil to create a loose, well-draining substrate. After repotting, it didn't take long before the plant started showing signs of recovery and began producing new leaves. So choosing the right soil, pot size and proper drainage create a stable environment where the roots can breathe and the plant can grow healthy and strong. So looking back at this Anthurium, there were several problems happening at the same time that caused it to look like this. Too much direct sun, underwatering and very compact soil. This shows that plant problems are not always caused by just one mistake. Sometimes several small issues happen at the same time. But once you correct them, many plants can recover surprisingly well. Anthuriums can have other problems as well, but I'll cover those in one of my next videos. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to write them in the comments. Thanks for watching and happy growing!